Hidden luxury. Details only millionaires notice in a $100 million house. Most people believe that luxury is something obvious, flashy, almost glaring. But that's precisely the biggest trap. The most expensive houses in the world don't impress by what they show, but by what they hide. While many people think that a $100 million mansion is all about size, views, and ostentation, millionaires enter these places looking for something else. Silent signs of intelligence, intention, and belonging. And almost no one notices that. Here lies a curious paradox. The more money someone has, the less need they feel to prove anything. True luxury doesn't compete for attention, it doesn't explain itself, and it doesn't ask for validation. It acts behind the scenes, shaping feelings, decisions, and even behaviors. That's why two houses can cost millions, but only one makes someone who understands feel, from the first step, that they are in the right place. And no, this isn't just about money, but about trained perception. The good news is that this perspective isn't something you're born with. It can be developed. Throughout this content, you'll realize that the details millionaires see aren't magical or unattainable. They're subtle, strategic, and profoundly human. And when you start noticing them, something curious happens. Your way of seeing environments, choices, and even life itself begins to change, almost without warning. The invisible gaze of millionaires. Why they see details that no one else notices. There's something curious, and almost no one talks about it, about the way millionaires enter a $100 million house. They aren't impressed by the size, the view, or the price tag. Their gaze goes straight to what doesn't scream, to what doesn't demand attention. It's as if they train their minds to see hidden layers, those that only appear when their internal repertoire has already been expanded through living with excellence. While some see luxury, they see intention. And that changes everything. This perspective doesn't arise by chance. It comes from repetition. Those who live with high standards learn, almost unconsciously, to notice proportions, silences, and smooth transitions between spaces. True wealth isn't what appears first, but what sustains everything underneath. It's like listening to classical music. At first it seems too simple. Over time, you begin to hear the details that previously went unnoticed. The same happens with ultra-luxurious homes. The eye matures before the wallet. In practice, this translates into small actions. Observing how a space breathes, noticing if there is excess or intentional absence, feeling if the house calms or stimulates. A simple exercise is to visit well-designed places, boutique hotels, museums, designer residences, and ask, why does this make me feel this way? This training changes your perspective, and your perspective changes your decisions. Interestingly, when this internal filter adjusts, other details begin to reveal themselves, especially those hidden within the very structure of the house, where luxury rarely speaks volumes. Silent architecture, structural elements that reveal richness even when no one comments. Once the eye is trained, attention naturally descends to a deeper level. Millionaires begin to perceive what sustains the house even before any decoration comes into play. They observe lines, axes, almost invisible alignments, like someone reading a silent musical score. A $100 million house rarely needs to prove anything. Its architecture speaks softly but with absolute conviction. It is there, in the structure, that timeless luxury resides. There is details such as the width of the openings, the fluidity between spaces, and the feeling of continuity. Nothing seems improvised. Nothing was designed to impress quickly. It's like a tailor-made suit. Those who don't understand see only elegance. Those who do perceive the cut, the drape, and the time invested. Silent architecture works like this. It doesn't compete with the inhabitant. It serves them, almost like a sophisticated backdrop for life to unfold. In practice, you can train this eye by observing projects by renowned architects such as Tadao Ando, John Pawson, or Marcio Kogan. Pay less attention to what it has, and more to how it was conceived. Mentally walk through the house and ask yourself, does it flow or does it hinder? Does it calm or tire? Interestingly, when this structure is well resolved, something begins to attract attention without asking permission. The surfaces, the materials, the touch. And then luxury changes layer again. The luxury of textures, the millionaire touch, that differentiates a $10 million house from a $100 million one. After the structure, the body comes into play. Millionaires don't evaluate a house just with their eyes, but with their skin. They run their hands over the surfaces, walk barefoot, feel the temperature of the materials. It is at this point that the difference between expensive and truly luxurious appears. A $100 million house doesn't use materials just because they are beautiful, but because they age well, tell stories, and improve with time, just like good financial decisions. Touch reveals the truth. Common marble is cold and predictable. Rare stones have vibrant, almost organic variations. Solid woods exude presence. Laminates attempt to imitate. Natural fabrics like pure linen or high-weight wool breathe in a different way. It's like shaking someone's hand. In seconds, you feel whether there is firmness or fragility. Real luxury is recognized in that first silent contact. In practice, anyone can develop this repertoire by visiting specialized showrooms, five-star hotels, or even premium fabric stores. Touch slowly. Compare. Ask where it comes from, how long it lasts, how it ages. A simple exercise is to choose an object from your own home and ask yourself, does it improve with time or does it wear out quickly? This filter changes the internal pattern and prepares the eye to perceive something even more subtle, almost invisible, that completely transforms the experience of a space. Light. The lighting that hides and reveals fortune. When textures are in the right place, light takes center stage, but never in an obvious way. Millionaires are rarely captivated by flashy chandeliers or excessive lighting. They observe how the lighting interacts with the space. In a $100 million home, light doesn't invade, it envelops. It doesn't shout, "Look at me." It simply guides the gaze gently, creating strategic shadows that highlight what truly matters. High-level lighting is almost psychological. Indirect light sources, invisible recesses, subtle variations in intensity throughout the day. Nothing is random. It's like a good conversation. The right tone makes you stay. The wrong tone tires you quickly. Ultra-luxurious homes use light to generate calm, focus, or contemplation, depending on the environment. Interestingly, the wealthier the house, the less you notice where the light is coming from, and the more you feel its effect. In practice, this observation can be honed by observing luxury hotels or award-winning restaurants at night. Notice where there is no direct light, but everything is visible. A simple exercise is to turn off the main light in a room and use only auxiliary lighting, warm LED strips, or lamps. The feeling changes completely. And when this atmosphere is well resolved, something even more subtle begins to reveal itself. Hidden systems, invisible technology, luxury that works without being seen. Invisible profiles, technology, automation, and hidden systems that only the rich recognize. After the light does its job unnoticed, a type of luxury comes into play that almost no one sees, but every millionaire feels. In a $100 million house, technology doesn't appear on scattered screens or flashy buttons. On the contrary, it disappears. Everything works fluidly, silently, and precisely, as if the house anticipates needs before anyone even notices them. This is the kind of comfort that doesn't impress visitors, but builds loyalty among those who live there. It is possible. You can perceive this in the subtlest details. Noiseless climate control, curtains that move smoothly, doors that close without impact, a constant temperature in all rooms. There are no exposed wires, no visual improvisations. It's like a good butler, present, efficient, and invisible. Anyone who has experienced this level of automation knows. After that, the excess of controls, noisy alarms, and confusing systems begin to bother more than help. In practice, this concept can be applied even on a smaller scale. Automate simple routines. Reduce visual stimuli. Prioritize silence and predictability. A good start is to invest in integrated systems, lighting, sound, climate control, that communicate with each other. Books like The Luxury Strategy. They help us understand why modern luxury is moving towards the invisible. And when everything works without drawing attention, something curious happens. The gaze begins to linger on seemingly simple objects, which in fact silently carry absurd values. Silent works of art, pieces that seem simple but are worth more than luxury cars. When everything runs smoothly, the millionaire's gaze naturally rests on what has been chosen to remain. And that's where silent works of art come in. In a $100 million house, you'll hardly see overly explanatory paintings or sculptures that demand approval. The luxury here lies in what seems too simple to cost so much, and precisely for that reason, it does. These are pieces that don't need to be understood by everyone, only recognized by those who know. Expensive art rarely tries to please. It provokes, disturbs, or simply exists. Often it's a monochromatic painting, a minimalist sculpture, or an almost empty photograph. To those without a discerning eye, it seems nothing special. To those who do, it's a signature, a story, a scarcity. It's like a watch without a logo. Only those who understand it notice. And those who understand it respect it in silence. In practice, this discerning eye can be honed by visiting galleries, art fairs, and contemporary museums, even without the intention of buying. Observe which works are placed in more discreet settings. Research artists like Anish Kapoor, Gerhard Richter, or Tunga. Ask less, "Is it beautiful?" and more, "Why is this here?" Interestingly, when art is well chosen, it doesn't dominate the space. It engages with something larger, especially with what exists outside the home. The signature of the landscaping, gardens, and outdoor elements that deliver the true value of the property. When the gaze passes through the walls, the millionaire begins to read the land as part of the house, and not as a mere addition. In a $100 million property, the landscaping is not decorative, it's strategic. Nothing there was there by chance. Trees were chosen for the time they take to grow. Stones were positioned as if they had always been there. The garden doesn't draw attention. It creates a sense of belonging, as if the house had sprouted from the very soil. True wealth respects time. Mature imported trees, reflecting pools that mirror the perfect sky, paths that guide the body without haste. Unlike pretty gardens, these spaces converse with silence. It's like a fine wine. It doesn't rush. It doesn't explain itself. It simply reveals itself. The more expensive the property, the more organic it seems, and that's no coincidence. In practice, you can train this observation skill by visiting historic homes, sophisticated country hotels, or projects designed by landscape architects like Roberto Burle Marx or Peter Walker. Notice whether the garden calls for contemplation or distraction. A simple exercise is to observe whether the outdoor space invites a pause or just a photo. When this dialogue between inside and outside happens, something even more subtle emerges. The value of emptiness, of space that doesn't need to be filled. The space between things. The importance of intentional emptiness in ultra-luxury homes. After learning about landscaping and respecting time, The millionaire realizes something that baffles many people: the value of empty space. In a $100 million house, what stands out most is not what is there, but what is deliberately absent. Spacious rooms, few objects, long distances between furniture. This emptiness is not a lack, it is dominance. It is the silent proof that nothing needs to compete for attention. Excess betrays anxiety. Those in a hurry to show off, cram. Those who are secure, let space breathe. Intentional emptiness functions like a pause in a well-composed piece of music. It is there that emotion deepens. Ultra-luxurious homes use space as a language. Wide corridors, bare walls, areas where the eye rests. It is a luxury that is not bought by square, meter, but by awareness. In practice, this concept can be applied starting small. Remove objects that have no real function. Leave surfaces free. Allow the house to speak. A simple exercise is to empty a room and replace only the essentials, observing how the feeling changes. Curiously, when the emptiness is well resolved, another detail begins to act unseen, something that cannot be seen, but can be felt in the air. The scent of wealth. Exclusive ambient fragrances used by nine-figure mansions. When everything seems silent, it's the sense of smell that takes center stage, and almost no one consciously notices. Millionaires know that the scent of a place creates a memory even before reason kicks in. In a $100 million house, there's no generic off-the-shelf scent. The fragrance is custom-made, designed to be smelled, not identified. It doesn't announce its presence. It creates an atmosphere. Scent is an invisible identity. Soft woody notes, rare resins, mineral or herbal, touches that evoke the nature surrounding the home. Nothing too sweet, nothing invasive. It's like the signature of someone elegant. You recognize it after the person has already left the room. Ultra-luxurious homes use scent to soothe, welcome, and reinforce a sense of belonging, without ever becoming tiresome. In practice, this concept can be applied by choosing more natural and discreet fragrances, avoiding excesses. Hotels like Aman, Four Seasons, or Ritz-Carlton are excellent sensory studies. A simple exercise is to test different aromas at different times of the day and observe how your mood changes. And when all the senses are aligned, sight, touch, hearing, and smell, something inevitable happens. A profound feeling of belonging settles in, almost as if the house recognizes whoever enters. The feeling of belonging. Why millionaires realize all of this immediately. After all the senses are activated, something remains that cannot be measured or photographed: belonging. Millionaires enter a $100 million house and feel almost immediately if that place was made for someone like them. It's not about personal taste, it's about internal coherence. Every detail, from the emptiness to the aroma, speaks to an already constructed repertoire. The house doesn't try to convince, it recognizes those who arrive. Belonging doesn't come from money, but from identity. Those who frequent high-end environments develop a silent radar to perceive when everything makes sense. It's like entering a room where everyone speaks the same language, even without words. Ultra-luxurious homes aren't designed to please the masses, but to align lifestyle, rhythm, and worldview. That's why those who understand quickly. In practice, this teaches something powerful. External luxury always reflects internal luxury. Expanding one's repertoire, traveling intentionally, observing well-designed environments, studying design, architecture, and human behavior shapes this sense of belonging. Books like Think and Grow Rich. They help us understand how the mind adjusts before reality changes. And when that internal switch flips, an inevitable question begins to arise, and it has nothing to do with houses. After all this, an uncomfortable and powerful question remains. How many details of your own life have you overlooked? Hidden luxury has never been just about 100 million homes, but about attention, intention, and awareness. When you learn to see what isn't obvious, you start making better decisions, choosing more discerningly, and living with less noise. And this applies to environments, relationships, businesses, and even how you use your time. Now think honestly, where can you apply this more refined perspective today? In the space where you live, in how you organize your routine, in what you consume, learn, or accept. Small adjustments made with intention generate enormous long-term impacts. After all, those who think big don't live by improvisation. They live with well-thought-out details. And the most curious thing is that, when the internal world is organized, the external world usually follows. So I challenge you. What kind of pattern do you want to train from now on? The one of haste and appearances, or the one of depth and consistency? If this content made you see something new, it was already worthwhile. And if you want to continue developing this strategic vision, subscribe to the channel, activate notifications, and keep learning. Here, the conversation isn't about showing off, it's about evolving.